To Brilliant. All right. Well, welcome to this launch event of Kamooni, network for change makers and a platform for making the world a better place. The way we're going to roll out this hour or 50 minutes we're spending together is I'm going to give you a brief introduction pitch to Kamooni as a concept. Sana is going to talk a little bit more about that after how we're going to be reaching out with Kamooni, and then we're going to hand over to Patrick, who is going to show the piece of art that he has created, which is Kamooni currently based on a lot of different technology where we've been working on at the lab. So we're very excited about that. So I think there's so many ways you can talk about community because it's such a ridiculously big thing, that trying to create a new operating system for human civilization. It's not a small task. Um, so it's always difficult to figure out what angle to choose. But the angle I think that might be most appropriate right now is this dawning realization that AI is going to change everything, be it augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence. Everything is going to change, and it's going to change very fast. We don't have the societal structures in place to manage that. So we are probably going to end up having to manage a lot of this ourselves, which means our communities need tools to function as communities. And our communities need technologies that will work on the community level. So I'd say that might be one of the most important aspects of Kamooni, is being this tool or this network or this platform that communities can use to manage themselves and share resources and matchmake and whatnot. So I'd say that is the basic pitch. Let me just find my the basic introduction of the need for Kamooni. If I then was going to jump in a bit more to the details, Kamooni is well, we're open source, we're not for profit, so we don't have any advertising. There's this unlike most other platforms. So since we don't have advertising, we can actually build something that is designed for human needs, and not anything else, not the need to retain attention. So it's kind of interesting to build something where you don't have to take into consideration anything else than build something that'll work as good as possible, as well as possible for humans, so we can human as well as possible. So we're designing it for humans, but we're also aiming to have it funded by humans. So since we're not accepting advertising, etc., we're hoping to set up an ecosystem that people will want to fund. Luckily, it doesn't have to cost a fortune to fund something like this if we're a lot of people. So we're setting up, and we can probably talk about that a little bit later, like setting up different tiers. We're also aiming to not have like one of these freemium things where you get more stuff because you're paying. As much as we want to avoid that. So rather, we want to create a system where the people who pay get to invite a bunch of people who don't have to pay, and we try to sort of help each other out in that way. And down the line, the idea is that this entire network will be sort of existing in a decentralized way on our phone, so we will all be carrying it ourselves. Um, but that is one of the basic pitches or basic differences between what we're trying to do and what exists out there among the bigger platforms. Sometimes we talk about it as a Tinder for change makers. I also like to talk about it as a WordPress for communities. So the Tinder for change makers is the idea that you create a profile. These are my values, these are my interests, this is where I live, and now you can match with other people who maybe share your values or have offers that match your needs or needs that match your offers. And I like to talk about meeting like-hearted people, preferably different-minded but like-hearted, that want to do the same things. So that's one of the things, having this matchmaking function built into Kamooni. But also a bit of a WordPress for communities, this idea that if you're running a community, you can set up on Kamooni, run your own community, have your own rules, organize your work completely without worrying about advertising and well, I guess deplatforming and all these other things that can happen, or spying. So it's really built to be a really useful tool for communities, a useful tool to get things done. As Patrick will show you, we've got tools for creating goals and creating tasks and a bunch of other things. And one of the exciting things with the task manager is that normally if you take on a lot of people in communities do a lot of work, and if you're a part of that community, you may or may not know about it, but if you're outside of the community, you've no idea. So we wanted to create in Kamooni this idea that like whenever you volunteer, whatever you do should, because that's a form of contribution that should go onto your profile, so that when you move to another community, one can see what have you contributed in the community you came from. So this gives us a little bit of idea of who you are, and that goes into this idea of using Kamooni as a layer to build identity and to build trust in this global village that we're trying to build. Uh, and then finally, on this path to decentralization, we're also looking at the notion of hosted circles. So that means basically if you're keen and you like this community is really cool, but I'd like to create something on my own. I'd like to have my own URL and my own logo. That will eventually, hopefully not in the too distant future, be possible. So you can have something that looks exactly like Kamooni, but it's got your name in the corner, but it will still be part of Kamooni, which means that your members can then jump between the larger Kamooni community and into your local community and back and forth. They can search just your local community, or they can search the broader community. So there are a few things we're working on to try to make this as appealing as possible for other people who don't want to necessarily join our network. And then finally, we have this whole notion of the altruistic wallet, which means that we're going to build something very professional, very nice and pleasant to use. Hopefully, lots of people are going to pay to use it. We're going to have a lot of other ways of pulling revenue through the platform. And all that revenue that doesn't go to pay salaries will go straight back into the community through the altruistic wallet, which means that everyone who's a member now gets to vote on where we put the surplus. So we're kind of introducing a different notion of capitalism here, custodial capitalism, if you like. So those are the broad strokes, what Kamooni is about and what we'd like to accomplish in this as we move into this next phase with you, our test pilots. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Sana.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for planting the big picture seed. Tim is the ideas guy. I'm the execution girl. I'm Zana, and my work and my joy is connecting people who do good, but often feel alone while doing it. And as the community build lead at Kamooni, I'm so excited to show you our blueprint that we've been planting for the last few months. In the next few minutes, I want to show you where you fit in with Kamooni and what you can start harvesting today. Let's start with picturing your last community project. Maybe it was a beach cleanup or a fundraiser or a tutoring circle, whatever it may be. How many separate tools did you juggle? WhatsApp for chat, Google Sheets for signups, maybe a crowdfunding link, and then still half of your volunteers probably never saw the final update. And if you imagine the internet today as a fast city, social media is the noisy marketplace, and the project management tools are the office blocks. But I asked myself, and we've asked ourselves, where is the public garden that is built for trust and not the traffic? And in reality, the social impact market has over 40 million people worldwide working in the nonprofits, in social enterprises, as well as the grassroots networks. But our research shows us that over 70% of volunteers and those people feel isolated and under resourced. So we're hoping to address that gap with Kamooni so that anyone can enter Kamooni and use our tools for as little as €1 a month. That's where we've started our pricing strategy. We're hoping that Kamooni will be that garden where it's a place where you pay what you can so that you can join the collaboration platform of change makers, whether you're an educator, whether you're an artist, whether you're an activist, whether you're a social entrepreneur. We want all of you on board to organize and trade skills and to fund the impact without the ads or extractive fees. Okay, so I think Tim planting the big picture seed, I want you guys to understand what your need would be and where we kind of fill that need. Um, for example, if you need people who share your cause, Kamooni has built circles, either, as Tim said, private, public, or even hosted circles eventually, or that you can set up in a few seconds and be able to promote your cause. If you're looking for a way to match your offers with your needs, our map, which we're calling the Impact Atlas, is where you can post your need. You say, I can mentor, or we need design help, or we need volunteers for this. And that's where you can go onto the map and see where the need is near you. Then, when it comes to social media's virtue signaling, we want Kamooni to offer proof in the of the effort, so that we can show value for the effort that you put forward in the community. That will be coming soon. It will kind of like be a naughty badge, so to speak, for the people doing good, and that everyone can see that you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk with your efforts as well. But fundamentally, what's most important to us is we don't want any pop-ups, we don't want any ads, we don't want any algorithms that sell your data. We just want to focus on the tools that keep good work moving forward. So where we are now, today, is what we're calling the seed phase. We want to prove the need in the market. This is the stage where a plant proves that the soil is healthy, and this is where we are. We have planted our seeds in the soil. Each of us are individual seeds, so we're planted in the soil, and we want to see whether or not the soil is actually viable for the project that we want. Our goal, hopefully in the next 3 months of this seed phase, is 1,000 paying members, which will hopefully cover 5,000 euros per month, which is our skeleton crew budget to help us cover servers, support, and the weekly community events. So if you as a user start at €1 a month, which is basically coffee money, you'll get one invite code to invite somebody else onto the platform. If you pledge €3, you get 3 invites, so that your generosity literally grows the network. And if you sign up today, what we've already got in terms of features is creating or joining your circles. As we spoke earlier, your private circle, your public circle, or even your eventually your hosted circle, whether the circle is a project or whether it's a local chapter of an institution. It could even be a learning pod if you're putting together some sort of educational tutoring circle, for example. And then on Tuesdays, going forward for the next couple of weeks. This session, the Meet the Changemaker session, is where we really want to do some real community connection. We want to share our stories. We're hoping to have give everybody the platform to be able to share their stories live, and maybe even have a bit of skill swap between all of us if we're sitting within the community and kind of saying, okay, Alexander has a bit of this, and Ida, might need his help. And then lastly, one of the things that's already available on the platform is that the map is live. So once you sign up, you're pinned on the map. And if, as a user, we go onto the map and we're just floating around the universe, we can see where you are in real time, and people can find you and they can message you immediately. So those are the systems that we've already set up. But obviously, we want to grow. So what's next is we want to be able to have a full search across all the verified profiles, and maybe even have member-led events with these Meet the Changemakers, where, let's say, Susie may want to host the next town hall or some sort of workshop. That's what we're hoping to build next on the platform. So if we go back to the analogy of the garden and planting of the seeds, every euro that you contribute will feed the next root. And then you'll see the results live because we'll have a platform counter with all of our users rising until we get to our goal of 1,000 paying members on Kamooni. Generally speaking, I feel like the social impact net market, and I have been a volunteer for many years. I haven't actually started my own community action network or such things, but I've volunteered in a lot of them. And I know that this market, the sector is massive, with the volunteers and with the workers. But I feel like a lot of the platforms that I've interacted with in the past either charge enterprise rates, or if it's free, they harvest your attention for the ads that they're selling. And what we want Kamooni to be, our goal is to kind of sit in that gap with three key things. Firstly, price. We're never going to ask you for more than 10 euros unless you would like to pledge more. We are not going to say no, thank you. But we start at €1, and that's coffee money. So it's accessible for just about anyone to be able to contribute. The second part that we want to differentiate ourselves with is our purpose. Um, Social media is for virtue signaling. It's not for real action. But what we want is to measure the success of Kamooni in friendships and finished projects, not your follower count. So it doesn't matter if you have 10,000, 50,000 followers on your Kamooni circle. We really want to measure the success and whether or not there has been some actionable impact that we can measure. And then lastly, I think what's most important to all of us on the team is your privacy. Um, we want you to own the data that belongs to your circle, full stop. We don't want it to be vulnerable to the oligarchs that are trying to make money off of us, everyday people. We're really trying to stay as, what's the word now? I'm forgetting. We're trying to stay as independent as possible. And so what you need to do if you're excited about the platform as we are is join for the €1 nominal fee. If you sign up at kamooni.org/join, it'll take you a couple of minutes. You can use your invite to bring one ally who can't afford pricey software elsewhere and might also be interested in our community action network. And from next week, Tuesday, you can help us shape the roadmap for what we want to build next. We'll be voting on what features we want to seed and water next. And so those are the three things that as a community we can already engage on with the community platform. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you guys on the platform. Our goal is to go from seed to forest. It's going to take us a few steps because from the seed phase comes the pollinate phase. And then after the pollinate phase, we want to grow out of the ground and then we want to branch out. And so it's going to take us a while before we become a forest, but forests don't begin as giant trunks. Forests begin as tiny underground networks of seeds that swap nutrients, right? And I feel like that's us tonight. We're almost like a room full of seeds that we've decided we want to intertwine. And if you're ready to trade isolation, let me read you what I've written. I think it's a very good closing line. If you're ready to trade isolation for a living, breathing commons, plant your euro, claim your invite, and let's grow Kamooni. One circle, one project, and one act of care at a time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Anna. Patrick, you want to take it?
Sure. Yes, so I want to talk a little bit about how these ideas manifest in the platform we're developing. So I want to give a short demo of what we are building. When I listen to these ideas, when I hear this, that we're in the seed phase and we want this a little bit of support and gather support just so we can, you know, get the ball rolling and grow. I feel like that's the state that many change makers are in. They're just looking for that support to get started and to grow. So that kind of has always been part of, I feel, the vision of the platform to help these people to get the support. So as we are looking for support ourselves, we are also kind of building a platform that will do the same for change makers and people who want to build a community and have an impact on the world. So this is like the seed of a new branding we are transitioning into, which is called Kamooni. And I feel like this gives the platform a little bit more of a clear identity, and it's not just a collection of tools. It's all coming together into a like a more cohesive vision or brand that has a little bit more of a personality. So I'm excited about this development. What you see here is the landing page. So right now, if you go to kamooni.org, you can sign up. If you already have an account, it will work. So this is the new landing page where we just give a little bit of an introduction of what community is and our story and what we're trying to do. And if you click on test pilot sign up, you will be able to create an account and start experiencing the platform. So I'm just going to briefly go over a little bit of the features we have in the platform currently. So when you sign up, you go through an onboarding process, and I'm going to show you how it looks like. So you will be filling up your Changemaker profile. So you go through this process where you get an offer to become a member if you want, but you don't have to. You get to describe your mission in the world. And when you do that, we kind of use this description of your mission to match you with causes and skills. So this is, you can set your location on the map. And here comes the causes you can select, and based on the mission statement you provided, we try to match you with the causes that are most aligned with your mission. So you select a few causes, and then the next steps, you select your offering, what you bring to your mission. So your skills and abilities. And that's it. The onboarding process is complete. And then we enter into the platform. You will land on this this map view. And this is where you can see all the communities that are on the map. So you can zoom in on your location. You can see what communities are available around you. You can click on them and read a little bit more about them, what causes they are about, what kind of skills they need. And if it interests you, you can start to follow this community and get updates in your feed about them. We can go to the For You, which is the global feed, where all the posts that are posted in the different communities show up in this kind of global feed. So you can get information what's going on. You can discover, if you go on Discover, you can discover new content and new circles and communities you might want to join. And if you are looking at following, you see the content from the communities that you are following. And I guess this is kind of what you expect from most social media applications. You can also filter. So if you want to see posts that are from circles and communities that are close to you, you can click on near. If you click on resonates, these are posts that kind of resonate with your profile. So you can get a more relevant feed this way. And then we have this community tab. We can see a list of all the communities on the platform. and also another way to discover communities that might be interested. And in the future, we will have abilities to donate and to contribute to these communities. And then we have a chat section where you can chat within your community and with other users on the platform. So those are the kind of global features. Then we can dive into a specific community. So let's pick the community. This is the kind of broad community for the platform that you can join. You can get a little brief introduction about the specific community, where you can read about it, about its mission, where it's located, its causes, and so on. Then once you're in a community, you can participate, you can create posts and have discussions. You can create goals within a community, which basically is, you can call it projects and things you want accomplished, and that people can express interest in. And if you open a goal, they are associated with tasks. So if you feel like this goal seems very aligned and interesting, I want to help out with this, you can follow it, and you can join in on tasks and help reach those goals, basically. And again, in the future, we might have donation attached to goals and stuff like that, so you can directly or more specifically contribute to specific things you want accomplished. So if we're talking about this platform, for example, if there is a specific feature you are very keen on that we implement, you can contribute directly to that goal, or you can contribute more broadly to the entire community. We have a task list. So this is a basic, you can say, project management tool where you can create tasks and you can assign them to people, and you can invite the community to rank tasks and get an idea on what the community finds important. We have a proposals section where community members can put forward proposals and that other community members can vote on. And for those of you that have been with us in the last presentation, we kind of presented this. And what we've been working on is to make these things flow more into each other. So you can create a proposal and you can vote on this proposal, can go through like a process. And once we have accepted a proposal, we can turn it into a goal. And then from that, we can create tasks. And if you're one of those people that has put forward this proposal or voted on it, you can kind of follow along all the way from proposal to a goal to task to eventually when it's completed, you will get a little notification that this goal has been reached, and you might see a screenshot or something about the result of this goal. And you can get a little bit sense of satisfaction of having, contribute to this thing being realized. So, yep, that's a little bit about that. We even have this, we also have these issues, which is basically things that come up that are problems, or a coffee machine that needs fixing, or a pothole that needs fixing. You can create an issue, and you can attach this issue to a location as well. So you can see on a map where the issues are, and that's also one way we can manage an organization. And lastly, I just want to go into settings a little bit. If you run a community You can control the settings of your community here. You can decide which pages you want displayed. So let's say your community is not interested in issues, you can turn this off. You can have goals but not have tasks. You can have sub-communities if you want. You can enable this. So you have a little bit of control and customizability of your community. You can create user groups, which is basically ways to control access within your community. So the default groups are admins, moderators, and followers. You can add more. You can add, board members. You can add task groups, and so on. And once you put people in these user groups, you can control in the access rules what features they get access to. If they're allowed to create goals, view goals, and tasks and proposals, and so on. So you have a degree of controls of who gets to do what. And once we add donations features, you might add, like, once you donate, you might get access to certain sections, like you can vote, but then you need to donate a little bit before you can vote. Yeah, for example. We have follow requests. This is where you can control who gets to join your circle. Yeah, that's just a very brief overview. You also have this toolbox up here, where you can get a little bit quick access to, you have your notifications, your communities that you joined, your friends, and so on, and your chats. So this is the current state of the platform. We plan on adding things like events and calendars. You can see what events goes on around you. You can create an event in your community, and others outside your community can discover this event more easily, and they can discover what events goes on in their vicinity. We have more governance features we want, like being able to create polls and being able to delegate voting, stuff like that. And then we have what we talked about a little bit, is donation and subscription functionality for communities. So you can use this platform to manage your members and manage their payments and control access based on that. And that's something that is a little bit of a hassle today for most organizations, where they have maybe a Facebook group, and then they have a different payment portal, and then they have to manually kind of control who gets access to the Facebook group and who gets excluded based on the membership status. And often that's so much work that you end up with a bunch of people in your Facebook group that aren't members, for example. And it's just a mess. But this brings it together and makes it all manageable, and access is controlled automatically, and a lot of that headache goes away for you. We want to add video conferencing, and we're talking about causes a lot. We want to build upon that. So, for example, if you're interested in poverty, you might want to see on the map like where there is poverty and pain points, and see where you can contribute. And I feel like that's a little bit of a theme, like a platform where you can get support and grow. And it's becoming this kind of gift or giving ecosystem where we help each other out and we get support for the things we do and the things we find important and the things we want to change and have an impact. Yes, lowering the threshold to getting support. as, a small community or a local community or even global. Yeah, I think that's basically what I had today.
Brilliant. Thanks, Patrick. I just want to, it's 1 or 2 points of what Patrick and Sana said. So from Patrick's side, this idea is that we should be able to use the map or the atlas to start of listing resources, like where are the people who can help out, what tools do they have, who has what that they can lend, so we can start using resources much more efficiently all over the world. Is one thing that's we're keen to explore. And then also wanted to clarify a bit when Sana was talking about the phases we're going through. So we're in this sort of seed phase, which is a test pilot phase where we're testing functions. And once we launch, and we can't quite say yet what the ratio will be, but maybe we'll be able to host 10 non-paying users per paying user. So at that point, we'll start having waiting lists to make sure that we can always manage the traffic or the people we have. And then that really kicks in. Then if you're placed 3,000 on the waiting list and you don't feel that you can afford 1 euro a month or whatever to get to the front of the list, there's always a chance that one of your friends can onboard you or bring you on board, because in the beginning we were hoping that we could charge like 5 euros, but we realized that that's probably too much for most people to pay a sum like that. But most people can probably handle 1 euro a month, and even if they can't, that we should have enough space for people who don't pay at all. And over time, obviously, if you pay, you instantly become a member, and you instantly become activated, and you get a vote on how we allocate resources and the roadmap and everything, and that makes sense. But the idea is also that if you volunteer a lot, maybe you volunteer 5 or 10 hours a month in your community. Once you've done that consecutively for a month or 2 or 3, that now makes you automatically a member of Kamooni, because you're contributing not through money but through effort, and that also counts. So we'll have other ways of sort of becoming full members. But yeah, we're just trying to figure out how to do this, and the reason we want to do this way is because we don't want to invite oligarchs in and give away. Because if you invite you can easily invite somebody who'd be happy to invest into this and build something really cool, and then they'd want to have like 10% or 20% of the profit for their service for all perpetuity, and that's 10 or 20% of all the funding we manage to raise that does not go back into community. And that would be a little bit of a missed cause for us. So that's why we're trying to build this in such a way. So you don't have to become a paying member at all at this phase. You'll be contributing as test pilots, but we really do appreciate if you do become a financially contributing member, because then we can learn how that system works, and when we can improve that too. Anyway, that's the pitch. We got another 12 minutes, so I can maybe just drop or pass the talking stick to see if anybody has any thoughts or comments or questions or queries or anything you'd like to raise, any fears. Yes, no. You can raise a hand or you can just jump straight in.
iPhone was looking promising there for a moment.
Yes, I thought iPhone might wanted to say something.
Still the mystery iPhone. So I just wanted to say that looks awesome. And I'm just so delighted that when I went ahead and opened up my Make Circles account, it immediately went over to Kamooni and I was in. And okay, and then I'm still waiting, I guess, for the approval. And I don't know what I need to do. And if you want the bribe, I can do it now or later. You tell me when. But so Yeah, okay. So that's great. And that profile is there. I don't have to do it all again. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So that's awesome. Good on you that it was all ported over so easily. I did notice when I turned around the globe that I didn't see my location. I went to check my profile. My location is specified, but maybe it's only when I get approved that I appear on the map. That's right. Everyone's nodding. Okay, so that's why I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm waiting to be officially there. But anyway, just wanted to say it looks great, and I'm just it's great that I can just go straight in and it's like set up already. So awesome. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. I think Patrick maybe already beat me to it and has now verified you, I think, because I couldn't, yeah, here. So you should be visible on the map. And this is a really, it's a neat feature. We've been trying to figure out, because maybe somebody shares this on social media and then you have like 1,000 signups and you have no idea who they are. And we also want to kind of the old move fast and break things. The Facebook policy we're really operating on move slow and fix things. So we want to sort of grow in a nice organic way. We want to create a culture, a Kamooni culture, to build our own community because it's much more sustainable and it'll work in the long term. So we have to sort of put on some brakes, just to make sure that we always are within capacity. But of the things, and I guess we'll decide together what we build next. But of the many things I'd like to work on is the profile pages. I'd like on the map when you're scrolling over that, like if I see Alexander, I get a little pop up, and then and there's a little video, and I click that, and I can hear Alexander talking for 30 seconds about his mission in life, and I'd be like, oh, interesting, or maybe not, who knows. So you can easy ways to sort of find things, or you're like there's a project in Sudan, and you like click and you get like a 30-second introduction, and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool, maybe I'd like to contribute to this, and then of course we'll see how we integrate funding options. Another thing I'd love to do, experiment with in the next few months, is this idea of creating like quick tasks. So basically, not a project, but just something I need help with. I'm gonna cut down, or I'm gonna paint my ceiling on Saturday. Is somebody free who can help hold the ladder or pass me the paint? Things like that, or walk my dog, or and see what are the small services that we normally do for each other, and sort of just start mapping them up, getting on the map. Other people can claim them. Just experiment how that works, and then of course we will create more complex projects with the road, with roadmaps and but not benchmarks. What is the word I'm looking for? The points. Sorry.
Milestones.
Thank
Milestone.
you. The milestones, exactly. Not stepping stones, milestones, and all these things. We also want to build in like all the advanced democracy functions, as Patrick said, all these like community services, so that you can have people join your community. We want to create the abilities, and that's one reason we wanted to keep the membership fee low, so that if you're paying €1 a month, you can still afford to pay another €2 to join a specific community that it might be more active. Or maybe you're paying zero and you can still afford to pay €2 so communities can now sort of get their own funds and run their own local projects. Something else that I wanted to mention about the local community projects, but it completely slipped my mind. It was a good one too, damn it. Typical. But there's a lot of interesting things that we can build if we have a platform that we don't have to worry about advertising or spying or all these other things that tend to be happening. But most of all, I think
Can I
we,
mention
yeah.
just to also say that I really like I'm sorry, and I want to make space for other people to talk as well because we only a few more minutes. But I did want to say that it makes a lot of sense to have the verification process because it also makes that what we're doing is much more authentic, so that because some organizations will have bots just sign up like blah, 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 and you have all the bots that are now signing in, and they're not really people, they're not really there, right?
Mm.
And so this eliminates that potential accusation that you're somehow we're making filler. And the other thing I wanted just to suggest is that if we can like nowadays we talk about like I'm going to Google this, so I'm going to, and then before in the past we talk about I'm going to Xerox this, and all these are just they're not really. So I think we really, in any time we talk about a community, we should be talking about community or community. You got to pronounce it right, community.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about. Everything we talk about is community. People like all of a sudden we'll be starting saying that instead of community, they'll be talking about community, and that's just what we're doing. I think, yeah. Sorry. Done.
That's our hope, Alexander. We wanted to lead with that community word, but we didn't want to confuse everybody. So that's why we started first with community, then community. But I think that's really the foundational ethos of what we're trying to build here is the community, the community. And we've got this idea that we don't want to go viral, we want to go vital. And that's why the guardrails for the sign up was so important, so that we don't want an influx of people and to say that we're successful. Actually, we're like I said in my part, we want to measure our success by the friendships made and the impact made.
Yeah, I'd like to add, yeah, two things to that because I remember what I wanted to say, but I might forget again. So the first thing was, oh, two, yeah. So and that leads back to the AI thing I talked about in the beginning. The notion that we won't know if we're actually talking to a human or not, like within 3 to 6 months. So what we need is a system where we can create this proof of humanity. And Kamooni could be a really interesting place to do that, because now kind of where the rubber hits the road is where you volunteer with other humans and they can verify that, yes, I volunteered with this person. They are a real person. Now I know that this person who has this account is a real person. I'm talking to a real human, which I think is going to be hugely useful in the future, because then you can, if people don't have like a track record in any community anywhere, or if they only have a track record in some kind of very advanced but fake community that is not connected to anything else, then it's probably just a bot community. We have that. Yeah, I think it might be the only way that we can know if we're dealing with humans or not, at least online. And then the second thing I also want to talk about, as we grow and people are on the waiting list, they can still use Kamooni, but they can use it privately. So you can create your own private profile. You can sort of create your own private projects. Maybe you'll be able to have like a secret circle where you can invite up to 10 friends or more friends, but it won't be public. So until you become a full member, or until we can support you as an active member, as a verified account. So the idea is that you could now use Kamooni to sort of plan your life. You can create a task list for yourself, and you can do these other things. And maybe we'll also add so that you can actually reach out to projects as a volunteer, even if you're not active on the platform. And then whoever is running the volunteering system can decide if they want to bring you on board. So we're going to try to find a nice way to ease people in, so that you don't have to be twiddling your thumbs while you're on the waiting list, but there are things you can do, provided, and of course, if you can afford the €1 a month, then you get to join right away. And also one of the perks with this €1 thing is that it gets more expensive to put 1 million bots on there, but that's if we grow, big enough, then the competition will probably think it's worth putting a few million euros into sort of putting a few million bots into creating problems. So we still need to sort of have a very slow and controlled way of growing, to maintain so we maintain our strength and our non-oligarchiness, our basic democratic aspiration to build something that we run ourselves. All right. Well, I guess if there are no further thoughts, I guess maybe we should round off so the team can all go and have their champagne and celebrate the official launch of Kamooni, or the official soft launch for test pilots. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what the weeks and months will bring. Fantastic. All right. Thanks so much, Guy. We're ending on time.
But Zana, did you want to have something you want to say?
It was just that Patrick in the chat, thank you, Alexander. Patrick in the chat wrote, find the others. In our next phase, that's kind of going to be our slogan. And that's, again, another thing that's vital to the platform. Go out there and find the others like you.
Yes. All right, my others, have a fantastic day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we will chat soon. We'll see you on Kamooni.
Kamooni.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank
See you in
you.
the community.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.